You're listening to Inside Real Estate, your source for all things mortgage and real estate related. The show that brings you all the hottest topics and insight directly from those who know it most. Now sit back and enjoy the show.
Yeah, we're here.
Here we are.
We made it.
We did.
Michigan traffic. Sal walked here.
You know, there's no real reason to complain today. It's beautiful out.
It's beautiful out. You're right. You're right. No complaints. No complaints. What's
Traffic's
up, everyone?
traffic.
Paula Paslakis, Salvatore Kuzmano, Brad Weisgerber. We are Inside Real Estate. Today we have a very special guest, Wendy Patton. How are you?
Hey.
Wendy just came back from a vacation because we were communicating. She was lounging in the sun, and she was like, "Okay, yeah, I'll do your podcast, I think." Like, how was your vacation, Wendy?
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
fried, sun every day.
That sounds horrible. Yeah, you missed a lot.
A lot of golf,
Yeah.
golfing,
Jeez,
cigars,
just live,
that kind of thing.
All right, no need to rub it in. So Wendy is actually has been in the business for a good period of time. She knows her stuff. She is actually really, really good at doing like investment properties, and we were going to be talking about those, how to get into that business. I do want to talk today about something that came out last night about Facebook and their marketing and how a lot of agents are marketing with them and how that's going to probably change drastically. We'll get into that. But first and foremost, Wendy, tell us, how you got into the business, why you're in the business still, and because it's a really hard business to stay in.
You mean the investing world or real estate or
All
what?
of it.
Yeah.
All of it. Well, you seem like you love it. Like
I love it. Yeah.
Right.
I started a long time ago, probably before you guys were born.
No way. No way. No.
Probably before Sal and I were born, for sure.
Probably.
Well,
Hey, thanks a lot.
Paul,
Yeah.
well, I'm just saying, Paul, you're old.
Yeah,
When did you
Sal and I
start?
are young.
When were you born?
88.
Well, it was close. Okay, 85 I started.
All right. I was 5. I was listening to Michael back then.
Yeah.
Michael
So
Jackson.
you're old.
Not anymore, though.
God rest his soul, I think. I don't know where he is.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways.
Yeah, so anyways, I in 85 I graduated from college in Colorado, got this great job in Detroit, Michigan,
Really?
and so here I am.
So you moved from Colorado
Still.
to Detroit.
Yeah, I
Okay.
know.
What was this great job?
It was with EDS. That's because it was before your time. And anyways, it was part of General Motors. It was the kind of a computer science kind of department. Now it's part of HP. But anyways, and I was coming to Michigan, and right before I left, my mom said, "Hey, before you leave, I've got this real estate course thing that I went to this seminar last week, Wendy, and I've got this real estate investing course, but your dad won't let me do it because he's chicken." And so I want
So you're like, I'll do it.
So she's like, "Hey, I want you to do this for me.
That's
Just,
awesome.
Like, can I live vicariously through you, kind of thing?" I'm like, "Oh, all right, Mom." So I took the course all the way to Michigan. Was listening to the course and realized, oh my gosh, I don't want to work.
So wait, you listened to it while you were driving?
Yes.
You drove from Okay, I
It was
get it.
cassettes back then, those little things.
Yeah, I know what those are.
Yeah, I used to have a cassette player.
Cassette player, yeah.
Kids today, they don't know how to use it. It's funny. Anyway, go ahead, real
I
quick.
wouldn't either
Yeah.
pay anymore.
Yeah.
But anyway, so so I listened to it the whole way here and realized, like, gosh, I had an epiphany. Like, this is the thing I really want to do. I mean, even though I have this degree and I have this great job, I want to explore this real estate thing.
Yeah.
Because
okay.
I loved flipping stuff when I was young, and I think that's why she gave it to me.
Really?
I always would flip my toys or whatever, like drag them around the wagon, like, "Hey, who wants to buy my stuff?"
She's like,
or my sister's stuff, like, "Hey, you don't need that anymore. Let's get money for that."
Are you serious?
Really?
That's
Yeah,
interesting,
it's-
okay.
I'm kind of serious. I mean, it's kind of embarrassing, but serious.
No, that's funny.
That's
Okay,
awesome.
that's awesome.
No. And then as I was older, I would start flipping furniture. My parents started going to these auctions, and my mom was a glass collector and would kind of flip glass, and so I would I'd go with them sometimes, and I'd say, "Oh my gosh, that dresser over there, I could get it for $35. I could sell it for $75 easily."
Get out of here.
And so I
That's
thought
how
it was
your
really
brain
cool,
worked?
making $40 or $50 or whatever.
I was just picking my nose at
See,
that
I do
age.
the opposite. I buy my kids stuff for $100 and I turn out to sell it for 10. It's like,
Well, that
I gotta
too.
get
Well,
out of
that no, I
model.
didn't
That
say I
model's
made
wrong.
money.
Sometimes you have losers.
I didn't say I made money on my toys. Or whatever I was getting rid of. But if I didn't use it anymore, I was going to get some money on it. And
Can you come to my
like,
house? I
buy
got a
some
lot of
out.
toys.
Exactly.
It is.
Do you have a little
pretty
red wagon?
Interesting. Some young people, kids and whatnot, have like eBay businesses.
Yeah.
Right.
And make
Oh,
a ton
yeah.
of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can as a kid, and I mean, we used to do I was always a little kind of this entrepreneurial spirit, and so I think that's why she gave me the course instead of I've got 5 brothers and sisters, and why'd she pick me? I think she thought that would be my thing.
What you're into. That's good for her. Yeah.
And so when I got to Michigan, I was moved in here it was like 14,000 people moved in at the same time
In Michigan.
in Metro Detroit.
Wow.
So in 1985.
Yeah.
So at that time, there was nowhere to live. I mean, every apartment building had a 6-month waiting list or more. So we were all in hotels.
Yeah, because my parents
a 6-month wait list.
parents because they immigrated in '79 or whatever it was,
Okay.
and like they told me like back then it was difficult to find a place to live.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And especially
because everybody
at
was
that
coming
time.
here for some reason.
Yeah, and it was like really backed up. So, I went to one of these investor meetings that this course told me to do, and I went to this real estate investor meeting, which now I run the Michigan Real Estate Investor Meeting.
Yeah.
I founded that, but anyways, back in '85, I went to this meeting, and it kind of went around like, where do you live? Where do you live? Where do you live? Wait, Wendy, where do you live? And I'm like, oh, the Red Roof Inn, room 101.
No,
And that's true.
that's crazy. Wow.
And they said, what? And I go, yeah, I'm one of those people that relocated. They
a
said, well, why
va-
don't you
I'm a
just buy a
vagrant.
house? And I said, that's really funny. And they go, why is that funny? And I go, well, I have no money. They go, so? I go, well, I don't even, I don't even make a lot. So? I don't have any savings. So? I don't know what I'm doing. So? And I said, I'm listening.
Wow. Okay.
So at that time, I ended up getting started in real estate investing primarily with at that time, they go, well, just go take your credit card and go get a cash advance and put it in your bank. That could be your down payment on your first house. And of course, back then, you didn't need seasoning and funds, guys. Okay, rules.
I was like,
My
oh my
rules
guys.
were different.
Just so
Don't
everybody knows,
listen.
you
No,
cannot
no,
do
no,
that anymore.
no.
Yeah.
Do not do that
Yeah.
unless you leave it there for how many days? Like 90 or whatever? I don't know.
You're really not supposed
Don't
to
do
do
it.
that at all. But
Should borrow
anyways.
money, borrow
So we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah.
We don't do that.
Yeah.
And we don't do the credit card thing anyway. So, okay, but this is how I got started.
It's different. It was a different time.
I,
Totally
I,
different.
I got started that way, and then I, of course, learned a lot of different strategies. But that was my down payment on my first house. I bought a 3-bedroom bungalow in St. Clair Shores,
Oh wow. Okay.
and my PITI was $432 a month.
Wow.
There you
What
go.
is that? 45,000.
40. It was 10% interest.
Yeah.
Back
Oh,
then?
yeah, back
Yeah.
then.
Yeah.
Over 10, yeah, double digits. And I rented 2 bedrooms to 2 ladies in the hotel at $250 each, so I was getting $500. So I was like, I am so cool. Like $500.
Look at this.
$432. I had $68 a month to pay my credit card payment. I was living
There
free.
you go.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's how I got started. Anyways, and then it went on. I was like, well, that's easy. I could do it again. So I just got another credit card. Now, mind you, at the time, you guys, I made $10 an hour.
Wow. So
Okay.
you're making moves. That's interesting. Wow, this is a great story.
And so I was like, okay, I don't qualify for these. I never lied about them. But back then, you could
It
hey,
didn't
I'm
matter.
breathing.
Yeah.
I want a credit card.
Yeah.
So they started sending me all these credit cards, and I had, if I was with you, I'd say, pull out your wallet. Let me see what you got. Let me see your credit card. Oh, I don't have that one. Write down the number. I'd go apply.
No way.
So I literally used to have credit cards from here to it was like 50 feet long. I put them in those little, photo albums.
Yeah.
No, those little,
big
fold out.
boxes like kids have like Pokemon cards. all
Well,
credit
exactly
cards.
like that. Except that we used to have these fold out photo things in your wallets,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I would tape them together when I would speak and teach people how to invest, and I would show them, and I'd okay, but here now
like a
get to the
baseball
real part.
card collection.
I would say, don't do that. So I would take my credit cards and I would buy another house and I'd rent it out, and then I was like, wow, this is working. Like the rent pays
you're
all of it.
leveraging your debt,
Like,
yeah.
man, I don't even have any money, and look what I'm doing. And so I would go on and on and on. And anyways, I went kind of crazy like that
Wow.
for a while until I learned about creative financing.
Yeah.
So I don't teach people to buy with a credit card. So ignore that part, bleep that out. Gone. Okay. We're not going to do that. But there are other creative ways, but I didn't know them in 85, 80, through 90s. I started doing some creative financing in the early 90s, and that's
Wow.
yeah.
That's interesting. So that's a crazy story. So I mean, you basically just made something out of nothing. Like
Right.
totally.
Oh, it's
made something-
amazing. I mean, that late night TV stuff, it actually works.
Wow.
I know people.
I think it's
kinda
all
hokey,
all
but
that
really
stuff.
not.
It's like really like you can really do it, but a lot of people don't have the fortitude to be diligent and to be to make sure that they're not overextending, to make sure they're doing it right.
Exactly.
That's
And
the trick, right?
And that's why I said don't use your credit cards, because that
Yeah.
is not
It's
a safe
dangerous.
way.
Yeah.
Very. And of course, back in the late 80s, you guys, you know what the rates were on those credit cards? 23 to 25%.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
you don't want to, that wasn't the thing. Now, of course, it could be a lot less, but at the time they were expensive.
But you did it that way and you used it properly. But again, it's like playing with fire a little bit, to be honest.
It was. I mean, it was like a
sure.
half-time person just to balance my credit card bills coming in every
Wow.
month, literally, and trying to make sure that they
Back
were
then,
all
you couldn't
around
just.
and paid.
There was no auto pay, dude. Writing checks
No,
on all
probably
that.
not.
No
And-
online
and-
payments.
There was
yeah,
no
and I had
computer
a
software to
I had
check
a
it out.
spreadsheet to have to okay, when's this one due? What's that one?
Wow.
How much do I have left on that one? And it was kind of a crazy thing. But
So how many houses did you amass over that period of time?
I've bought and sold over 750.
Oh,
since I've been doing
That's
it.
a
And
lot
I
of
don't know
houses. That's a
beyond that. I
lot.
mean, probably like 800 or 900. But I
more-
always just say, okay, 750 because I know I'm sure on that. So there would be
Wow.
times, but that's how I got started. Then I learned about how to do creative stuff.
Okay.
Which is really what we were talking about earlier is like how do you buy properties without using money or credit
Yeah. Or mortgages, right? Yeah.
or mortgages.
Yeah, just because a lot of people look. To be fair, a lot of people call us and they'll say, "Hey, listen, I want to buy a house. I want to buy an investment property. My first investment property. They don't have the history of the record of having investment property. So
Right.
these even the non-traditional stuff, you got to have a history of doing it. They got to have like 50% LTV. There's a lot of restrictions. So we're like, dude, you don't really
You can't do
qualify.
it.
Yeah, you
like
can't-
in our
Right.
realm, you can't do it.
can't do
But
it.
The
It's
reality
impossible.
is.
The reality
beyond
is
that.
you can,
So
and
let's talk
then
about
you
that.
can flip it back to you guys later, right?
Yeah.
So
That's the trick.
and I
Once you
think
get
that's
it, we can refinance it.
Right. Right. So you got to get it in your
If it's
name.
done right.
And so there's only a couple of ways to really do it where the property's actually in your name, and there's some other ways that it's not in your name, but you have control of it, right?
Okay.
That's the biggest thing. So all money in real estate is made by controlling property, period.
Yeah.
You don't have to own it to control it, but you got to control it to make the money.
Got it.
So you can control it either through a lease option, a land contract, or what I call a subject to deal.
Okay.
Okay. And the lease option is the one where you control it, but you don't own it. The other two, you actually own it and control it.
Yeah. Like
Okay.
a land contract, you're actually on title.
Those
Or
are like,
undone
yeah.
credit,
You're really, where you guys could refi it.
Yeah.
So you could refi it on that and also what's called a subject to. And I love subject twos too, which is where you take over the deed to someone's property subject to their underlying mortgage.
Oh, wow. I didn't even
Okay.
know that. Did you know that?
Okay, so you know you have a due
I had
on
no
sale
idea.
clause, and
Yeah,
you guys
yeah.
know, of course,
Yeah,
you know.
that we
And
know.
however, that doesn't mean that. I mean, if I deeded my own, I do a mortgage with you guys. It's going to be under Wendy Patton when I get it, right? Because you're going to make me sign personally,
Yep.
For sure.
And then I immediately would deed it to my LLC, anyways.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Well, instead, you get a mortgage on your property. 3 years down the road or whatever, you're like, I got to sell this thing, or maybe you owe too much, or maybe I
want
shouldn't
out.
say owe too much, but maybe you want out. You're moving,
Yeah.
and you're willing to just walk away.
Yeah. You're done.
You might,
I
you're
don't want
done.
the payment.
Like
I'm out.
you might be behind, but
Yeah.
you might not.
You just
I
want
don't.
out.
I really don't care if
You
you're
don't
behind
care.
or not.
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
don't care.
if the numbers work for me. So what I would do is I'll just take over. I start making your payments. So I do. I'll just deed the property to me, or my LLC.
Right.
Right. I change my insurance to make sure the insurance shows that it's in my LLC name, right? Because you want
Right.
it to burn down, then you don't actually have insurance for it. So you can't leave the insurance in the other guy's name or gal's name. And then you just start making the mortgage payments.
Yeah.
So I'll have the mortgage company do auto drafts right out of my LLC, and I'll also have a mortgage authorization form, whatever the mortgage company requires, for me to have access to, including a limited power of attorney, that mortgage information.
Wow.
So, and then the guy goes, or gal
Smart.
moves. So I just did one. Do you want me to tell you about a deal? And
Yeah,
kind of explain
do it.
how
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
So the last one I did of that technique was done in Livonia, just recently in December, and the guy owed. He was not behind on any payments, but his wife had died 3 years earlier, and he used all of his money. I mean, he was just like, I'm
depleted.
done.
Yeah.
But he only owed $120,000 on the mortgage. He had paid 12 years off on it.
Wow. So, wow.
Okay, so
Yeah.
your mind thinking for 1
Yeah.
minute, but it was worth about $2 to $215 fixed up. I gave him $35,000 to walk.
Like, oh, wow.
Here's 35 grand. Sign over the deed. I'll start making your mortgage payments, and because it did need some work.
For sure. Yeah.
Okay,
I get it. Yeah, I get
and
it.
I mean, and
You're
I tried.
for
and
profit.
Now I'm a real estate broker.
Yeah.
Okay, so I went in as an investor. However, I said to him, his name is John. I was like, John, look, here's the deal. You can make more if you sell this on the MLS. Why don't I list it for you? And I said, I'll list it for like $199. I mean, it needs some work, but it's not that bad. It's solid brick ranch, Livonia, nice home. Why don't I list it for you? You'll make more money. And he's like, no, I don't want to list it. I need to be done now.
He wanted out. He just wanted out.
Out.
No kidding. Okay. So, okay.
So we, I had the title work ready, and I just said, I said, okay, so how soon do you want to do this? And at first she's like, I really don't want you to take over my mortgage because I'm moving up north, and I don't know. And I said, no problem. I mean, then you could think about it. I mean, and he came back and he's like, no, you need to do this. Like,
No
let's do
kidding,
it.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, he literally
yeah.
was at the end of his rope
That's what
where he
wanted.
said,
He was
I'm
out.
done.
Yeah, he was out.
And I said, okay, but I'm not guaranteeing I'm going to pay it off. I mean, you understand, I could keep it for another 18 years because there's 12 paid off. I may pay it off in a year or two. I may flip it. I don't know. But John, you have to assume I may keep this in your name for a long time.
Wow, that's pretty wild.
And I was going to say that would be my biggest thing.
If you
I'd be
default
scared
on it,
if
right,
if
it
you stop,
affects
if you
his
miss a
credit.
payment, that's his credit.
That's right. That's
And
right. You better not
If you
miss a
stretch
payment.
it out for 18 years, that's
Yep.
still on his credit. It still
Foreclosure,
counts
it's
against
on
Which
his
is
credit.
good for him.
It's good for him, but it's bad if he tries to qualify
right.
for another house because now, unless it's
Right.
been 12 months of payments and he can prove it and you're willing to show
That's right.
that you've
But
made
he
the
was.
payments.
But this guy was like, I'm out.
yeah,
Right,
I mean, that's like,
Yeah, this guy was out. And he
do
went
you
up
find
north
these
and he
people, by the
really,
way?
I
I was
think
going
he's,
to say, I
Where
feel
do
like
you
that's a
find
very
this?
unique
And he
person.
can't force your hand to sell, right? After you've put that agreement together, he can't say, "Hey,
no,
I
because
need-
I own it. He doesn't own it now.
yeah,
He does not own that house now.
He
I
just,
own
he
it.
just holds the
He's
mortgage.
got debt with no collateral.
So here's the cool thing. So I put like 10 grand in it. It still could use a kitchen if I'm going to flip it, but I did all the other parts of it just to make it really nice for rental. And I rented it for $15.95. My
Wow, that's
payment,
good.
my PITI is $863 or $840. But out of that PITI, guys, because it's been 12 years, $400 a month is going toward principal.
Yeah,
Right,
So you take
right.
400 plus the cash flow. You got the math,
you're
right? It's about
paying-
$1,000 a month.
Yeah, you're
net.
paying down the mortgage and you're getting
Yeah.
the appreciation if
Yeah.
if it appreciates.
So even though I have 45 grand in it, I'm making about $1,000 a month, 12,000 a year. It's over 25%.
The math
return.
is right.
So it's not a bad thing.
The math
Plus,
is right.
I have equity. So
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't count the equity in the return on investment. Just that's the cash
For
flow,
sure.
whatever. Equity build up, cash flow. So those are the kind of things I like doing. So you said, where do I find them, right?
Where do you, where is
Okay,
this
so I run
unicorn?
the Michigan Real Estate Investors Group, right?
For sure, that
so you have to
helps.
come to that.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, it's tomorrow night.
You can't give us all the secrets.
Hold
No,
on,
no,
hold
no,
on.
I'll
Talk
tell you,
about it.
I'll
What
tell
is
you.
tomorrow night?
It is tomorrow night. It's the third Thursday of every month.
Okay.
We have a meeting, and every month it's something different. So, there's always a different topic.
Yeah.
Okay. And that particular topic is I buy through what's called a wholesaler.
Okay.
Okay. That's all they do. They find deals, they source them, they find people that are behind on payments
their
or back
jobs.
taxes or probate or divorce or that they love digging up deals, right?
Got it.
And then they flip them to people like me for a profit.
Of course. Wow.
So that particular deal, because I didn't think there was as much meat on the bone, I call it the meat on the bone, right? Profit. The wholesaler that brought that to me only got $2,000.
Okay.
But sometimes that particular wholesaler brings me deals where I'll give them 10 or 20 grand.
Because it's worth
Depends
it.
on how much
Right.
I'm going to make, right?
Get out of here.
So it kind of just depends on the deal.
It's a whole other world.
It's a whole. I'm
Man.
knowing
Yeah,
this
guys.
rabbit hole.
I'm-
Like,
I'm
in a
like,
weird.
yeah.
Like for us, it's
that
like,
hamster in my brain
And
is starting
just
to
jump back on the
jump back
wheel.
on the
with
wheel.
real estate, how many different segments are out to that world, like non-performing notes, things
Right.
like that.
Oh,
that you
that's
can.
yes.
Not
So that's
before,
like
yeah.
we just had a whole session last month on performing and non-performing notes, mortgages, right, and buying those. So that's a whole world itself in investing.
crazy.
There's a whole world of subject twos, wholesaling, landlording, lease options, subject twos. I mean, you can name it, like private lending. I do
Yeah.
a lot of private lending too. So other investors might come, they find a rehab, they have no money. And they can't get a mortgage because it's hard to get one as an investor, especially
Right.
if you don't
Have the
any
history.
income.
Yeah, or the income, right.
But if the asset is good enough, someone like me or someone else might do the private lending.
Got it.
Or they would do hard money lending,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because you're not going to do a regular mortgage
right,
on
right.
that, but someone might finance it. But we're going to charge 15%, a couple points. I mean, it's going to be.
It's hefty. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to
Yeah.
be worth it.
but
for
it's
you.
got to be worth. But if the
but
numbers
it's
make
short
sense,
term, so
yeah, if it
Right.
makes sense. If there's profit to be made, who cares how much it costs?
exactly. And so
Right.
the investor's not going to care about paying that much,
Right.
And the lender's not going to do it for much less because they know it's going to be 4 to 6 months.
Well, it's risky too. So
It
you got to
could be
mitigate your
riskier,
risk.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm only going to lend on for me, I only lend on something that if you don't pay, I want.
I win.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know
Yeah.
as an
Either
investor,
way,
I might
I
get stuck
win.
with that property, right?
Yeah, I win.
Right.
It's right. So let me ask you this. So this is really interesting. We've never had anyone with your knowledge base here. So through 2008, it's a lot-
Yeah.
Throw everyone else under the
No,
bus.
it's a
I
different.
love it.
It's a different thing. So in 2008, in the downturn, a lot of people saw that and were like, oh, it was a horrible time. You probably did all right.
Yeah, the stuff that I owned before I had more leveraged with mortgages and stuff, and those we got hurt on a little bit, you know, because the market dropped lower. I mean, we had to short sell some back then,
sure,
I mean, honestly,
for sure.
pay to get rid or pay to get write a check at the closing table.
Yeah, there were some toxic
But
assets back then.
After that, it was the best time ever. I mean,
Yeah. You're
that
picking up
was,
houses cents on the dollar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we bought so many properties that we
You
bought
went ham.
hundreds in Pontiac, hundreds. And we would do those turnkey rentals before anyone else even talked about turnkey rentals.
Yeah.
We did them, and we did hundreds. And what we would do is we'd buy them for like 10, 15,000. We put 10 in them, 25. We'd sell them for 40 or 45,000.
Yeah.
With the tenant in, with the LLC in place.
That's
with
all set
them
up.
registered with the city, all that stuff. Turnkey,
Yeah.
totally. To out-of-state investors. And then we would do 2 or 3 of those that would be enough cash to pay cash for the one we'd keep.
Mm-hmm.
So then now we are like, all the ones we own
now
now.
you're flush.
We don't own a ton now, but
How many do you
they're
own? What's a ton? What's
like
not a ton?
35.
Oh, that's
35.
not- that's
and
easy.
I used to own 175 at one time. So
How do you manage that?
I hate managing properties, and that's why
That's what I'm
actually
saying.
kind of moving more toward commercial now.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit more
Okay.
toward that. We have 5 commercial buildings now. We're looking at a couple more.
Wow. Yeah, because
So-
handling that many dude, a buddy of mine
Especially
has
with
like 5.
residential
and-
tenants, man. They're
Yeah.
all different characters out there.
Yeah, my
The
my-
upkeep, I mean, no
my
way.
bathroom's
Count me
leaking.
out. Yeah.
Like whatever it is.
Well, and obviously the return potentially on the commercial is a lot higher per tenant.
Yeah, they don't move as often usually. They're like, I think about how long we rented. My partner and I that own a couple commercial buildings in Clarkston, her and I, rented together in Clarkston for over 10 years, the same spot. We couldn't buy it. The guy wouldn't sell it to us. And finally I was like, this is stupid. Why are we renting? Like, this is what we do for a living.
yeah.
So we ended up going out and we found and we bought some properties with no mortgages, on land contracts.
No kidding.
And it was 2 older guys that really wanted to, kind of move out of the business, but they loved the cash flow, but they just didn't manage right. They didn't know how to fill them. They didn't know how to go back to a tenant that, in 2008, they had dropped the rent in half. And then they never went back and said, hey, it's 2018 now. Time to raise the rent.
Right.
Actually, we bought it before 2018. But you know what I mean? Like they
Yeah.
they weren't really good at that.
Yeah.
So they've also come to us and said, hey, we've got more. I mean, we bought 2 properties from them recently, 2 commercials. And we're like, we'll give you $5,000 down. They're like, all right.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
8,000 square feet.
Let me ask you this. So right now, just if you're giving someone tips and someone that's trying to
Yeah.
get into this world, what areas in Metro Detroit do you see that have value, or what do you see that's oversaturated? Where would you put your money? Is it just a case by case, or do you have areas that you say, you know what? I like Hazel Park right now. I see some good stuff happening. I think the taxes are crazy right now, but that's just what I'm saying.
Right.
Or Oak Park, or is Royal Oak too oversaturated, or whatever it is.
All of them are good.
All of them are good.
As long as you find the right deal. It's all the deal.
It's all
for
about
me.
the deal.
I don't
The
care
pie's
where it is.
too-
Like I live in Waterford now. Most of my properties are in Clarkston, Lake Orion, Pontiac, up north,
Yeah.
North Oakland County.
Yeah.
I bought that Livonia. I bought a couple in Livonia last year.
Because it made sense.
I don't know anything about Livonia, but the deal was right, so
well,
I
it's
buy
not like you're
'em.
buying city blocks. Right?
No,
It's-
but I'd say if I knew a lot about Detroit, if I was younger and starting over and willing to
Detroit's a good spot right now.
oh
yeah.
man, of course I would have been
Yeah.
in Detroit 5 years ago, 10 years ago.
It's crazy over there. What's happening?
It's just too far from me to really
It's
jump
not your
in.
it's not your wheelhouse, right?
And I am very careful about staying in my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Because
Stay in your
stay in
lane.
your lane. Because every time
Stay
I've
in your lane,
gotten
bro.
out and I try to do something crazy and different, like a high-end luxury rehab,
This is not your thing.
I've lost money.
And that's something I think that's really, really smart. What you just said, like if you're good at something or you know what
Yeah.
this is the world you know.
I'm not
right?
screwing it up.
Why try to reinvent the wheel, right?
Yeah.
Stay
No.
there, do what you got to do, and you're doing
Yeah.
well at it, right? So
Yeah.
that's interesting.
I mean, if you're broke, go ahead and do whatever you want because you have nothing to lose. But once you amass wealth, I'm sorry, but you like that, bam. Because you have nothing to lose. That's where I was when I started. I mean, I had nothing to risk. That's
Yeah.
why those credit cards didn't scare me. Today, that would freak me out. I would
Yeah.
never do that.
You're
I'm
overleveraging.
I'm a debt-free kind of person now. Everything. I mean, it's not that I am totally debt-free right now. However, that's the goal, right? I pay down debt at a very
Aggressive
fast,
rate, yeah.
aggressive rate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So the person right now who's listening to this who says, "Wow, I want to do that," right? I don't have any experience. I don't have any money, a lot of money. Where do I start?
Well, I definitely would go to because you got people listening from other states, right?
Yeah, all over.
So it doesn't matter where you live. I would say start where I did, which is go to a real estate investor group, start getting some education on, different topics. Just learn a lot. Start saturating your mind because every aspect of it is really great and easy to make money in if you focus on it. It doesn't matter which one it is.
Yeah.
So if you've got cash, you want to be a lender, great. Go learn about being that.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't want, and I don't like being a landlord, by the way.
Nobody does.
I have a property manager.
Yeah.
I do. It's not an employee. I have a third-party company that manages for me. I don't want to talk to my tenants. I don't want to know them. I don't want to hear about a leaky faucet. I don't want to fix it. I don't want to.
No, you want to do more business. So you don't want to deal with that stuff.
I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
You want to
No,
just
but
get
I
a bill
did.
on your desk and
But when I was 21 years old, you guys, like my friends were at the bar on Saturday night, and guess what I was doing? Painting my rentals and cleaning toilets.
Wow.
And so at that time, I was like,
Well,
we'll never
let the
do this
millennials know that
again,
because a lot of them don't really want to do that.
No, and I'm like, I hated that.
I mean, I don't paint.
But it got me to where I am, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you have to like, roll up your sleeves and
Yeah.
get dirty sometimes
you
in this
can't
business.
win without
and,
sacrifice.
yeah, I mean, and stinky, nasty, disgusting, gross, horrid houses. I mean, I have seen the worst stuff.
Yeah.
Other than a dead body in the house, I've seen everything else dead in a house,
Ugh.
And I mean, stuff, and it's
Man.
disgusting. And but the good news about that stuff is no one else wants them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, as a real estate agent, I can't go like, oh, let me list your house with like dead animals in it. They clean all that crap out, right? So
Yeah.
only investors want that stuff.
Right.
Right.
So I'd say get involved in, education, classes, find someone else who's a really good investor, not someone who's done a deal. That's not a
Aunt
good
Sally?
investor.
Not
Find an expert.
I did odd deal.
Yeah.
Odd deal. I'm a pro.
I've done two. Wow.
Right. Yeah. No, that's not
No,
really good
no,
advice.
don't get advice from them because
Right.
they don't know enough yet.
Yeah.
So I'd say hook up with a group like that wherever you live. Find people, read some good books.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm going to tell you about my book, but I don't get a dime on it. I can't even buy my own book except on Amazon used. Okay.
Right.
But I wrote a book. And it's a phenomenal book on lease options and subject twos.
Okay.
It's called Investing in Real Estate with Lease Options and Subject Twos, and it's a great book still. There's only two minor things that have changed on lease options since I wrote that in 2005.
Okay.
Like it's a really good book.
Yeah.
It's a simple read, and it helps you really understand creative financing stuff. Okay.
Right.
So that's a good one. What else do you want to know?
I mean, there's just I don't know what I don't know on this.
I want to go
subject.
back.
Well, we could do like 3 more sessions on this, man. You guys like?
I just
I
want to
wanna
go
go-
out
I wanna-
and like see it happen.
Okay, come on out. You want to come?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. if
I
you
want to
ever
just
wanna-
ride along with Wendy
Okay.
Patton
Right.
All right.
on their next.
I want to
deal.
go back
All right.
to
Love it.
Right along. That'd be
finding
great.
someone that's done more than a deal, right? Someone that's successful in the business. How do you get their time, right? Because if
Yeah.
they're successful in the business
know.
and you're just starting, you're a nobody, right? How do you
Well, I
how
think
do you
it's
get
like
that meeting?
everything
How,
else.
like what's your
Just
advice
ask.
to someone
You just gotta ask.
to reach out to those people
I'm
and to
answering for
be?
I would say ask, but sometimes like people will say, "Hey, Wendy, I'll do work for you for free for a whole week if you teach me your stuff." I'm like, nah, that's not.
I don't
helping
care
me.
about that. Yeah.
Oh, that would
Right,
kill me.
you're actually hurting
no,
me.
I mean it would kill me. No, but if you want to ride along, pop in, or like sometimes I'll do a 6-week class on. It's called there's a really good book called The Millionaire Real Estate Investor that Gary Keller wrote. It's a phenomenal book too, and I'll teach a class on that, and then sometimes I'll do a. Hey, we're going to meet at 123 XYZ Street. I'm going to show you my before on week 1. And by week 6, it's going to be done and we're going to go back. And then I kind of show them like, okay, on week 1, what would you guys see? What do you think it's going to cost? Okay, we're going to learn how to estimate this thing. Because I do rehabs, fix and flips. I do buy and holds, a little bit of commercial. I've done a lot of everything, but my specialty is really the creative stuff.
Let me ask you this: what are some things that create what are some things that people should look out for? Because you probably see a lot of failure too, right? So what are some of the things like pitfalls or landmines that people fall into that create a bad situation for them that they should look out
Right.
for?
Yeah, so I think where I see most investors fail are newbies. They get so excited about doing a deal that they do a deal, or that's not a deal. They buy property.
Right.
That's not a deal.
Right.
And they're just like, well, the seller gave me the deed to it.
But it wasn't a good deal.
Right.
Okay, but they owe $150 and it's worth $130. That's not it. Well, but I got but over time
But
it'll
I
be
own
worth
it.
more. And I go, yeah, I always like to start my investment deals in the hole too.
Yeah, let's start backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So, it's getting that mindset. I think that's the hard thing is like, what is really a deal and helping them structure that. Like what are the real comps?
Yeah.
So learning the comps, either becoming a real estate agent so you have access or working with one who can really help you determine what that property's really worth.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And for me, like I bought the one in Livonia recently. I'm not a Livonia expert. I don't know a lot about Livonia, Okay, so what do? I call an agent in my office who's a Livonia expert.
Yeah.
I go, hey, I'm buying this house on such and such street. I need to know anything that you know about that area. And then he's like, boom, 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 boom. That's
Yeah.
great. It should sell for about this. And I said, will you go in it? Will you look at it? I got a lockbox on it. What should I do to it? And so, you've got to just find those experts, right? Those and they're around. They're around.
And so it's having a good network, right?
Network.
Yeah, you
Oh.
got to have a good network.
Well,
and
we
that's everything.
often get,
Thank you.
we'll see deals or we'll do a deal for someone, and then they're like, I gotta sell this, and it's like, yeah,
Oh,
you're
you should
underwater.
be calling me. Okay,
Yeah.
my cell phone is.
I got one for you.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And sometimes those are good. And like sometimes I can either bring them current.
There's money in it.
And
but
if I bring them current also and keep their mortgage in their place,
Yeah.
now all of a sudden, yes, I know they have this blip and the credit issue can be a problem, but at least then it's like perfect after that, right?
Yeah, you take-
Yeah,
you
it wasn't.
you
It wasn't.
total
A,
amount.
it wasn't a foreclosure.
Right.
That-
and
that's-
sometimes, when we
That
run
might help you
yeah, big time.
for
Like-
later.
Yeah.
And I think for me being a middleman on those a lot, right? Like kind of shopping that deal around to people who want to be in it or not be in it.
Yeah.
They either don't have the money or sometimes it's not worth their time. They're like, yeah, well, we got to put 100 into it. We sell it. We make 60 grand. Nah,
Right.
I'm out.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but to someone else, I mean, that might be worth their time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd love. Yeah.
Yeah, we get approached with stuff. I mean, we get crazy stuff like that all the time. I never knew that there was a good avenue to like marry people to like someone that would be looking to do that.
Well,
to be honest,
Yeah,
with
and so sometimes someone else will be the person that you can pop in as the mortgage buyer, right? Or if they're working with a real estate agent or if they're creative, they can do these creative things where like maybe they either do a land contract or a lease option or something where they can have time to repair that credit so they can get the mortgage. I mean, that's really who like my end buyer. Typically, like if I'm doing a lease option, my end buyer is buying on an option from me. I don't sell on subject twos or lease or land contracts. I only sell on lease options if I'm going to sell to someone that has credit issues.
Yeah.
And so what I'm doing is working with that, like with their mortgage lender, right, to get them ready. Or that would be a great opportunity for investors to work with you guys to say, hey, I've got this person, they should be ready in a year. Maybe they had bankruptcy a year ago or whatever it is, whatever your timeline needs to be for whatever their price range is, if they're doing FHA or not, right? They start working with you guys and you're getting them ready for that time they're going to be able
when
to
they can
actually close.
do it,
Yeah.
to actually execute.
Yeah. So
Wow.
you're working very closely with the investor on those deals.
Wow, this is a whole different world. Like,
Yeah, I mean, the show's almost over. I feel like this flew by.
yeah, there's a lot. Like, I feel like
It's deep.
It's deep. So I think that the thing that I'm getting out of this right now is,
Well, it's a whole nother business.
yeah, that's
I
what
mean,
it is.
It'd be like
But
us
it's
trying
like-
to talk about explaining mortgages in.
I get it, but we're
40
in,
minutes.
we're
Or
in
me
real
trying to.
estate. Yeah. It's just very, very interesting. So for me, what I'm getting is like just like getting the knowledge and understanding the lay of the land and the ecosystem of the world that you live in is really important.
Right.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Just
Well, and to your success, you did it right. You asked, and kind of to your question, what would you do?
Right.
Well, if you don't ask or learn yourself, you'll never do it, and you have to
Right.
stick to it. You have to be consistent to it.
And I think
Yeah.
the biggest thing is too, like when you said, what are the biggest pitfalls for most people? Like the one was that they try to do a deal that's not a deal.
yeah.
The second thing is, okay, I'm going to try to say this. I mean, I could go on for an hour about this.
No, I
This is my
love
little
it.
soapbox thing,
I
right?
love it. I love it.
But it is, I think a lot of people won't actually do what's required. They won't get the paintbrush out, clean the toilets, or whatever they have to do
You
to
have to be willing to do the work.
willing to get the success, or to go out on a Saturday all day and look at crappy, smelly properties, or to go in the evenings instead of getting on TV and watching something stupid like news that just depresses you. And they're not getting. I'm sorry,
The
I got
news
going.
sucks.
I won't watch
Yeah,
it. I mean, but
yeah.
people they're glued to that stuff, and it's like, get your
So
butt off
Wendy-
the TV, and why don't you pick up a book to fill your head with something good?
But what you're saying is it takes hard work to be successful.
I
That's
know it's not. Oh, it works, you guys. I mean, it works, and like all that late night TV stuff and all those little creative things, they work if you work it.
You know what I see a lot of in my whole career, my whole life, I've seen it. It's like there's a formula that works, and if I'm like mentoring someone and I'm like, look, do X, Y, and Z, but they decide that X and Y aren't important, I'll just do Z.
Right.
Well, it's like that's not the formula. The formula is you got to put all these things together.
Yes.
It's like a pot, and you'll get the meal right. Like so they're ingredients. You got to have
Yeah.
them all. You can't
Yeah.
miss one thing. So I think that's really poignant, and I think. I definitely want to have you back on the show to talk more about this and
Okay.
get more into. I'm super intrigued. I do want to talk about this Facebook thing for a minute
yeah.
because it's not I feel like it's not even interesting anymore. Like I don't even want to go into it, but I did say I'd talk about it.
That's still a very important thing. That's a huge.
It's a really
Facebook thing
yeah.
now.
So just so everybody knows, Facebook has decided. Well, not decided. They got sued because in mortgages you cannot do what's called redlining or discriminate against a certain population of people, no matter what they are, women, men. You can't charge different. It's been very very. It's very important. Like it's just we will get fined. It's a big deal, right?
Yeah.
So Facebook
Can't target.
you can't target, right? Which I still don't. I disagree with this because Facebook you can get hyper targeted marketing done, right? I know Facebook knows more about us than I know about me, right?
Yeah.
And they know, like, if I want to market to the guy who used to run a Coney Island, who lives in Novi, who's got 2 kids, and who's married, who's Greek descent, like they could target me directly, right? And so real estate companies and mortgage companies, what they've been doing is they've been targeting zip codes and going after them and marketing towards these zip codes and certain demographics, and they now Facebook is not allowed to do that. And there are whole platforms, businesses based on the fact of doing hyper targeted marketing. Why LOPO? There's a whole industry now that's going to get affected, and a lot of real estate agents and mortgage professionals have been doing this, where they're doing hyper targeted marketing, and now that's all going to go away. Because they're getting lead flow, this was their business model.
And investors too, like realtors, investors,
everybody.
They're doing it too.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a double-edged sword because from our aspect, it's not like we're trying to discriminate. We just know where the hot markets are, where our business comes from, where we can grow further, where the opportunity is. So we want to target that opportunity to get the most bang for our buck.
It would be like,
but from the other side,
yeah.
I see it as well because it's like, well, why? What's wrong with these zip codes? What's wrong with these people, right? Why are you not wanting to go for them?
A lot of agents, right,
Right.
looking to just sell homes, like, take 313 out,
Right.
you know, and it's like, can't do that, right?
can't do that, but they have been for a long time. But here's my thing, and I'm going to play devil's advocate. Like if I want to do mailers to a certain zip code and I send mail and I'm marketing directly to that zip code.
Oh, good call.
Right? So I'm doing mailers to 48375, my neighborhood, right? Well, is a USPS now not allowed to do that? Right? So where does
and you can buy list. I mean, still, that's what,
where does it stop, right? So like it doesn't compute to me because okay, TV advertising. Well, I want to advertise at this time. Well, this demographic doesn't watch TV at that
Is it
time.
Facebook's responsibility to know the rules of the CFPB and redlining and all that, or are they just the platform to do it through? Like in that situation with a mailer, I'm sure USPS could not be held liable because it's the agent who's doing that and targeting.
Well, same thing with Facebook. The agent is targeting that.
And they probably got some suit that will obviously. I don't know if
it's done.
It's done.
It's done.
Yeah, it's done now.
It's donezo.
Man.
Yeah, it is.
they cut them off already. All those things, those ads.
It's going to happen. I don't know if it.
Well,
this just came out last
the
night.
suit is done now. The suit was filed a year ago.
Facebook has
It was a while
agreed.
ago, yeah.
Facebook has
So they
agreed to
settled?
change their algorithms now.
The decision was made last night.
Yeah.
And so many people I know right now are creating businesses around that ability.
Full businesses, full business models. And yesterday, in my post on Facebook, I go, this is why you don't put all your eggs in one basket, especially in marketing, especially when it's something that you don't have control
highly
That's
over.
right. When you don't
by-
control it, yeah.
like Zillow business or Realtor.com business is not sustainable. Something
Right.
like that happens.
No.
And, hey,
Build
we
a
found out
business.
that Realtor.com has acquired their leads through Redline. They're getting sued and shut down.
Done.
Right.
If your whole business
Right?
model
And now all
revolves
of a
around
sudden,
that,
you as an agent are like, well, what do I do?
well, think about it. You can
Right?
buy zip codes through Zillow. That's how it works.
yeah.
I
Right.
buy into the zip code. Well, are you redlining now? Because you want those zip codes. It's just very, very. It's gonna be really interesting what the
Right.
what the shakeout will be after all this. What the aftershock will be. I don't know where it goes.
Yeah, it makes me kind of want to go like hyper target Greek guys, like you said, and sell them
Quick.
pitas.
Well, bro, that's
Pitas and
super
euros.
racist, man.
Okay.
It's super
Come on,
racist,
dude.
man.
You're the one who gave us your
Yeah.
targeted info.
Yeah, put it up on a C, man.
I'm just trying to
Now
sell
we
you
know what
pitas,
they
yeah.
really are, you know?
Let's go get some pitas, Wendy.
So just
I'll eat
just
them.
for the audience, it's something to keep an eye on. I think it's super interesting. I'm wondering what these businesses are going to do. They must be super.
They're freaking out right
Gotta
now,
be.
man. They're about to get squeezed.
hard. Yeah. All right. So Wendy, we do this thing on the show called 3 Questions, where we ask you 3 randomized questions. They're random in my head.
Okay.
And the
But
first
they're
question,
random because I'm like, I
The
didn't
first
prepare.
one's not random.
First one's always the same. First
Okay.
one's always the same.
What's the
First one
first
is
one?
what scares Wendy Patton?
Failure.
Okay.
It's not an option.
Yeah. So you're terrified of failure.
Terrified.
But isn't failure necessary to succeed?
Yes. Sometimes you do fail, but the thing is, how do you get back up? And
Yeah.
I mean, you might have a temporary failure.
Yeah.
It can't be permanent.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I mean, I have, temporary failures
You got to
too.
pick yourself up.
Yeah, you just pick yourself up and you go, okay, that didn't work, or I lost money on that deal. That's a failure.
That one kind of
How am I going to do better on the next one?
realization that nothing's permanent except
No.
death.
That's right.
I mean, like,
And really, yeah.
but I mean,
You try to minimize your risk on certain things, like losing money. I mean, because during the
Well, I know
downturn, I lost a lot, millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And then, but you make it back up right after too. And then you go, okay, now how am I going to make sure that never happens again?
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Hey, you
people with
know?
the most money that I know have gone bankrupt, foreclosure,
Yep.
short sales, whatever. And
It happens.
you learn.
Because they took shots,
You could take away everything I have right now every dime.
and you could do it again.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because you've got that skill set.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
because I have the tenacity too
Yeah.
and
I'll
the
take it.
willingness.
I'll take it. You can start over.
That sounds cool.
I don't want to have to
She
start
did
over.
just offer it.
You'll
That's
be
a verbal
fine.
contract right now. I just
I had a
accept it.
verbal.
Yeah. All right. Next question. If you could time travel to any decade, which one would it be and why?
Ooh.
Oh.
I would probably go back. Can I keep my same knowledge?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You have a time.
I would
you.
go
It's
back
you.
to probably the 70s.
The 70s.
Yeah,
Why?
because I think that there was so much more opportunity, or no, I shouldn't say more opportunity. That knowing what I know now, I would have had a lot more time to go back through and.
So it's strictly business. It has nothing to do with.
I thought she was going to say Woodstock.
I think also no, I didn't go to Woodstock. That was
Free
wasn't
love,
that 60s?
LSD.
No. But I think that also, I think our country was, how do I say this, a little bit more moral.
Mm-hmm.
Our morals have changed a
Yeah.
lot in
Yeah.
our country. And I think we were very much a proud country, and now I think we're very divisive. And
Yeah, there's a lot of division.
so,
Yeah.
doesn't matter which side you're on or whatever, but it's
doesn't
just
matter. Yeah,
divisive
it
right
is.
now. And I don't like that.
There's no agreeing to disagree anymore.
No, and we used to say, like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
this
it's
person
so
got
good.
voted in. Okay, well, let's support that person. We had respect for whoever that was.
Yeah, it doesn't
And
matter.
now it's like, oh my God, it doesn't matter which side. I mean, it's just,
Doesn't matter.
if you want to see where the
I don't like
world's
either
at,
one right now.
just look at like a very public post on Facebook or a highly popular video on YouTube
Yeah.
and look at the comments.
Oh my god.
Oh,
my
bro.
god.
Right.
That's just where we're at, right? Someone
and
will
I
post
I
like the
saw-
nicest thing, and
Like,
it's
why
like,
don't you hang yourself? It's
Yeah.
actually- I'm like, bro.
yeah.
right.
know?
So I guess that's why I would say I'd go back to
Alright.
that. I mean, and I wouldn't go much earlier because then there wasn't as much opportunity for women.
I got it.
Although
Yeah.
I'm not one of those. I'm not a women's lover at all. I think women, like
You know
women,
your
get up
place.
off your.
No, I'm kidding.
Man.
I'm joking. My wife's gonna kill me. I'm sorry.
Oh my god.
No,
sorry, baby.
no, but it's so funny because I'm not. I don't ever think that like when women say, "Oh, we don't have as
Well,
much
'cause you
opportunity,"
made
I'm
it.
like, "Oh,
'Cause you made
shut
it.
up,
Yeah.
get up, and just stop yourself."
There you go.
please."
All right.
Let's smack them.
Last question is, what kind of music do you bump to?
Bomb to. You mean
if you
bomb
bump.
bomb?
No, man.
Oh my god. No.
Oh.
No.
Okay, wait. You.
I meant like bump in your car. Jesus Christ, Wendy.
I like all kinds of music. The only thing I don't like is rap.
You don't like rap?
I don't like rap.
Okay.
I just don't. But
Okay.
I love everything else. I mean, I really do. I
Jazz.
like old rock. I like
Polka?
country. I like not polka.
No.
polka?
No polka.
You can't say everything.
No, but yeah, I like everything.
All right, there we go.
That was oddly synchronized.
You're like, let's do it again. Come on.
God, we're idiots. Wendy, tell the audience how they can get a hold of you. I know you've got the meeting on Thursdays. Tell everybody how they can be a part of that.
If you want to know about the Michigan Real Estate Investors Group, go to MichiganRealEstateInvestors.com.
Okay.
And you can get a free pass to come visit us and check it out. Also, you can go to wendypatton.com if you want to find out more about lease options, subject tos, land contracts, any kind of creative stuff. And I've probably got like a free ebook or something on there for you. I don't know.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Something on there you can opt into and get in my drip,
Yeah, absolutely. Wendy, thank you so much for doing the show. I know it was kind of like rushed and we like put it all together, but I'm really, really happy you did it. We learned. I feel like I learned something today.
Good.
Doesn't always happen. I always sometimes I walk out
Really?
dumber. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Diane wants to talk about
Who
it.
was that?
No.
I'm kidding.
Jessica, thank you for making it in as always.
My pleasure.
Sal,
Salvatore.
where can they find us?
All over the internet.
Yes. We're all over the internet,
good.
guys. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy the weather out there if you're in Michigan. If you're not, and it's nice there, enjoy it there too. Bye.
You've been listening to Inside